Hi everyone. Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
So, if I could just ask you a basic question, could you please tell us about your organization a little bit, just an overview?
Okay, so basically, our organization has this vision to combat stubble burning, and to achieve that end, we want to amplify the voices of farmers and also form a bridge between the opinions of the experts and the farmers. And we are in our nascent stages, but we intend to expand our operations once COVID gets over. We intend to conduct demonstration sessions with farmers in order to spread awareness amongst them.
Yeah. Okay. So we recently came across this petition that was started by you.
Mhm.
So, what is that about?
Okay, so basically, what we've tried to do is we've tried to make a petition which contains a comprehensive list of solutions to combat stubble burning. And our approach for that was that firstly we needed to know about what the experts said. We read several academic papers, we read magazine articles, and tried to know about the situation in Punjab and Haryana and also UP. So we got to know about happy seeders and the multiple reasons as to why farmers burn stubble. However, we thought that that was not enough. In order to know about the ground reality in Punjab, we needed to consult someone who lives there, because it's essentially a local problem, and a local person would know better about it. That's the entire point of having a local government, right? Because they sarpanch, because they know the best about their problems. So that is why what we did was we divided our team into the districts. So basically, we called farmers in Punjab, and we covered all districts, and we talked to them, we interacted with them to know more about stubble burning. And once we had the opinions of farmers and the opinions of experts, we clubbed them to form, a very comprehensive solution that balances the opinions of both the experts and the farmers. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, do you have anything else?
So
Uh,
basically, there were 22 districts that we had covered, which included, like, we called all the farmers up,
Oh,
and we came across farmers from different backgrounds, like farmers who have large farms and some who do not have access to the same resources that the large farmers have. So we have the story of both the farmers who are well off and the farmers who are not.
I think before that, I think it's very important to address that why stubble burning happens in the first place. Because a
yeah.
lot of people know what stubble burning is. I mean, in a very, in not a very detailed manner. But in
Medium.
order to, yeah, exactly. So in order to know about this issue, we should know that why does it happen in the first place. So basically, what is the scenario is that before the Green Revolution, Punjab originally used to grow wheat and maize. And after the Green Revolution, what happened was, so the Green Revolution happened, and at that time, Punjab's area under rice cultivation was just 200,000 hectares. And after the Green Revolution, there was introduction of HIV seeds, there was introduction of tractors, irrigation facilities, and after that, the area under rice cultivation just boomed in Punjab. From 200,000 hectares, it was around it in 2014. It is around like 2,800,000 hectares. And more the area under rice cultivation, more will be the stubble produced, and then the farmers would burn it. And another thing to note is that so since there was a lot of area under rice cultivation, in the harvesting period earlier, the farmers used to use the labor in order to harvest the crop. But now, because of the technological advancements, there is a machine called a combine harvester. So essentially, what a combine harvester does it harvests the entire field. But in doing so, it leaves stalks of rice across the field, and these stalks of rice are called stubble. Now farmers are left with a very limited period of time in order to sow the next crop, that is wheat. Now, what will they do? Stubble burning is a very convenient method for them in order to just prepare their field for the next round of planting the wheat crop. And it is a very convenient method. It's not only very convenient and less time consuming method, but it also costs like very less. It is very inexpensive. Whereas the machines that are developed by the government, they are very expensive. And if you are in the place of a farmer, what would you choose? You would choose a matchstick, right? Which just costs, I don't know, 2 rupees, as opposed to a machine which costs around lakhs. So it is very important to understand like why stubble burning happens in the first place. And it is a relatively newer phenomenon. And if you ask your grandparents or parents about it, they might not know much about it because it happens now. Like it
Yeah,
has seen the stubble burning cases have been on the rise recently only.
recently when,
So
yeah,
I think like before starting, we should like know what actually stubble burning is. So like we have people like Raghav said that it's a like a new phenomenon. Okay, shit, sorry. Yeah, so what actually stubble burning is? So stubble burning is intentionally setting fire to straw stubble that remains after grains like paddy or wheat, mostly paddy in Punjab and Haryana, which have been harvested. So this practice was widespread until 1990s, and after that, the government has restricted its use, but it is still there. It still exists.
okay, yeah. So I basically want to ask you, we just did a bit of research, and it seems that the stubble burning period, the time when the farmers mainly burn the stubble is coming, which is I think October and November.
Right.
So how do we spread? Have you done anything else? Has your organization done anything else to spread the awareness, or how can we help you?
Right. So basically, the thing is that so the rice stubble is burned during the months of October to December, and that is why we made a petition way before that, so that it gains support, that it gains more
And it
petitions,
has.
and yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the other season is the wheat burning season, where the farmers burn the wheat stubble. That is not very widespread because the rice stubble is burned. Rice stubble, the area under rice cultivation is much more, and they have limited time to sow the next crop. And even during the COVID pandemic, people felt that the stubble burning cases would decrease, but now they haven't. So it is very important to talk about this right now so that it doesn't happen in October. So about what? So you asked about what we are doing apart from the petition. So basically, we also talked to a UN Youth Envoy representative, and we sent our videos and tweets to a representative of the UN Youth Envoy so that they can post it on their account and amplify our voices, so that the government takes cognizance of the gravity of the issue at hand.
And we are also having a panel discussion. So
Right.
around like 14th August to spread awareness about it.
Okay, that's a great thing. So okay, so so your organization is mainly from Delhi, from
Right.
NCR region, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
we also know that this time is the winter time, and the winds come gushing around all towards the east. So all the pollution of that is created, the greenhouse gases that are emitted due to the stubble burning is all coming towards Delhi.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I think
So
that was one major inspiration for us. That
Yeah.
is why we started this organization. Because for me personally, when I used to go out in my balcony to just read the newspaper, I couldn't in the first place because of the smog that was there. And although there are many factors for air pollution, such as vehicular pollution, Diwali, and so much more, but stubble burning is a major factor. There have been studies conducted by so many organizations, and they have concluded that stubble burning is forms a major part of Delhi's air pollution. Moreover, another thing that actually scared us a bit was that we when we were reading news, there was news about how the life expectancy of the residents of Delhi would be reduced because of the air we breathe. So this was one major motivation, that since it directly affects us, and if this practice continues, it will affect us, not only us, but the future generations also. We decided to form this organization and do our bit to save the environment, do our bit to clean the air. So
yes,
yeah.
and last year even we were given an off from our schools because there was so much pollution and we were advised to stay at home. And according to statistics in 2019, which is last year, there was a rise of 35% in the air pollution, which was the season's highest. And it is very shocking.
Another thing that why we took up this topic was that this issue seems like it's just farmers wanting to save, but in its actuality, it's a lot more than that. It's a very multifaceted issue, and and every time we interact with another farmer, another stakeholder, we get to learn so much about this issue, and we just want to continue our learning process so that we can effectively bring a change. So yeah.
Okay. Also, I really wanted to ask you this. So right now, all the factories are closed during these pandemic times. So do you think that just all the gases that just stubble burning that are emitted just due to stubble burning will affect the drop in climate change as of yet? Do you think so?
I mean,
Yes.
right now, like we all live in Delhi, and Delhi
Yeah,
is opening up even though there is a rise
of
in the
course.
COVID-19
Yeah.
cases. And if you talk about stubble burning only, even we have this conception that because of COVID-19, there might be a possibility that farmers don't burn stubble, or because the thing is that there is a link between air pollution and COVID-19 too. It can exacerbate your chances of getting COVID-19. I mean, it can make the
Yes.
situation worse. So we thought that stubble burning might reduce, and it's a win-win situation for the farmers and the environment. But as I said, the farmers are burning the wheat stubble too, and this was amidst the pandemic in March, April. So if they're burning wheat stubble in such large quantities, we can say, I mean, we can assume, we can reasonably infer that they will burn the rice stubble too in October, November. So that is why we just need to push harder and call to action so that there is some change, there is some drastic reduction in stubble burning cases.
And adding to his point, like you said about climate change and temperature drop. So the fumes that are there from the burning of stubble in Punjab, they go to the east, like you said, to Delhi and the Himalayan glaciers as well. So that is where like the glaciers are actually melting, which is like the main reason or the main thing that we see is that climate change is real. So
Yeah, that is a very evident fact. Okay. All right. So, is there any? Do you think that biocar? It's very. People say that it's very effective, and I'm not sure how biocar will affect reduce stubble burning. Have you all done anything about that?
Could you repeat?
So we read that biocar, the use of biocar, helps a lot, which is a charcoal-like substance, as you might know,
Right,
helps a
right.
lot in reducing it. So, is there anything on that?
So, Shagun, do you want to go first?
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Right. So basically, if you're talking about, so as I said earlier, that stubble burning is a very multifaceted issue with multifaceted solutions as well. So
Yeah.
one of the solutions is using stubble as a raw material to produce energy. So that is where we can convert it to biomass and biochar so that it can be used to produce energy. However, the problem here is that not many there are not many industries in those areas so that the stubble is collected and actually used to produce energy. Another factor that needs to be taken into account is that there is a lot of stubble that is being generated. So it's not like very much possible that all of that stubble is used to generate electricity. So there are various other alternatives that we have been looking at, and we have also talked to many startups who are using stubble. So if I talk about the alternatives, there are basically two categories of using stubble. So one is using stubble inside the field, which is the in situ utilization of stubble, and one is the using outside the field. So outside the field means generating electricity and many more other alternatives, and that comes under ex situ uses. And even in our petition, we have mentioned that stubble should be used for in situ purposes and ex situ purposes. So for in situ purposes, there is a machine that's a very popular machine developed by the Punjab agricultural industries, and that machine is called Happy Seeder. Now that has been claimed to be a very
Yeah.
revolutionary machine because what it does is that it takes the stubble, it mulches it across the soil. I mean, it mulches it into the soil, incorporates the stubble back into the soil, and at the same time, it sows the seeds of wheat. So we had the problem of time, right? That there is paucity of time. That is why they have to burn stubble because it is a very um, less time consuming process. However, Happy Seeder not only solves the issue of time, but it also incorporates the stubble back into the soil. And the very fact that you are inserting the crop residue back into the soil enriches the soil. And
Interesting.
and conversely, stubble burning affects the soil in a negative manner.
Mm-hmm.
So the Happy Seeder is although the Happy Seeder was developed way ago, then why are stubble burning cases still
But
rising?
yeah, if I could interrupt a little bit,
Yeah.
sorry. We also read that these farmers, especially in Punjab and Haryana, are not being given um, a vast, they're not being given a lot of
Resources.
funds and resources that can help reduce stubble burning. And so people are saying that the government should provide them with different types of solutions instead of just one solution, which is basically just the happy seeders, and it's become the happy seeders campaign. They're calling it. So, are there any other solutions to it?
Right. So one is the happy seeder, and the next, as I said, was the exit to uses. And
Yeah.
apart from happy seeder, farmers can also use this stubble to make compost in order to further fertilize the soil. They can also basically feed the stubble to the cattle. So and apart from that, they can also use it in the energy sector. They can also use it for mushroom
From
cultivation.
cultivation, yes. So there are like various benefits and other things that you can use, like biodegradable products, which
Mhm.
helps in reduce soil erosion risk. And that is there. Mushroom cultivation is like very up and coming now. So it is actually a high revenue generating activity, and it does not require a lot of inputs, and it all like gives a lot of output, which is like productivity is high. So there are up like these there are a lot of things that they can do when they're practicing in situ, like when they're practicing these uses. But government's part on it is like Raghav said.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean those industries aren't developed, and plus the transportation facilities are very inadequate in the sense that even if a farmer wants to sell the stubble to an industry that uses stubble, whether it makes biodegradable products or whether it uses for mushroom cultivation or whether it uses to generate electricity, they can't do so because there aren't adequate mechanisms in place in order to collect that stubble. Moreover, we also need machines to remove the stubble, right? Since there are stocks of rice, we also need machines to remove the stubble from the field. And there's a machine called baler. So the reason why I started out talking about Happy Sheeter first because it is relatively cheaper than the extra two machines, than bladers, which are used to basically remove the stubble from the field.
And with happy seeder, there are other factors also, like behavioral changes or financial changes and technical challenges. So like a farmer may not be well
It's
versed
too
with the
expensive.
technology
That
that is
technology.
there. So
Sorry.
That that technology is way too expensive for some of the farmers. That's what
yes,
Right,
and like
but yeah, so we need to appreciate the fact that the government has in fact provided a subsidy on happy seeder, which is expensive. So the subsidy is 80% for a farmer who is in a cooperative group, and for individual farmers, the subsidy is 50%. Now, then it just seems that the government is doing its bit by providing subsidy. Then why do farmers still not use happy seeder? So our team basically divided the problem into three aspects, as Shagun said. So there's this financial aspect, the technical aspect, and the behavioral aspect. Now, the financial aspect is that there are a lot of middlemen who basically do not provide the entire subsidy to the farmers. For example, if there is a 50% subsidy for individual farmers, it is almost impossible for a farmer to obtain the happy seeder using 50% subsidy. They are often just offered 30% subsidy. And even for cooperative groups, they are offered, let's say, maximum 50% subsidy. And we got to know this from not only farmers, but also startups who actually work with farmers in person. Like we haven't met a farmer in person. Our team hasn't met a farmer in person, but we are calling them up, calling startups who are actually in contact with farmers who have played a significant role in combating stubble burning. So this was the financial challenge which is there. And apart from that, they have to pay the entire sum of the happy seeder in one go. They can't like pay for the happy seeder in increments. So even after the subsidy, it is expensive. And if they have to pay the entire sum in one go, they would have to take some loans, right? Like they won't have the entire sum of money with themselves. And the problem here is that banks, farmer banks, or even their relatives charge a very high rate of interest on these loans, which makes it impossible for farmers to not be, trapped in a debt trap. Because if they take the loans, they'll have such a high interest rate that they won't be able to repay. Moreover, Happy Seeder is just used for 1 month. So the entire financial problem needs to be solved by actually removing the corrupt middlemen from the system. Then
Yeah.
there is scope for the acceleration of the use of Happy Seeder. Moreover, loans should also be offered at a lower interest rate. So that was all about the financial challenge.
And like Raghav said about this financial aspect that is there, so one happy seeder costs about 1.5 lakh to 1.65 lakhs, which is a lot. And like they prefer using convenient and cheaper techniques like a matchstick. So that is why stubble burning is actually very prevalent, even though we have a lot of machines, we have government help. It like it does not match the cost of one matchstick.
Of course. Okay. So if I ask approximately what's the amount of farmers that your organization has reached as of yet?
So we had 22 districts. So we had called up about 22 to 23 farmers.
Okay.
So
So
like
it
one farmer from each region, each
each
area. So
okay. So this problem of stubble burning is only prevalent in India. Is just Punjab and Haryana mostly? Is there any other region in India where it's happening at a big rate, good rate,
Uh,
uh,
so
as far
okay,
basically,
Raghav, you
as
can
you
take
know?
this up.
yeah, so basically it does happen in Uttar Pradesh too, but on a very smaller scale.
Small scale.
The reason why it happens only in northern India, specifically the states of Punjab and Haryana, is that although Punjab is very small in terms of the geographic area as compared to other states, it produces, like, it contributes to the central rice procurement pool the most. That is, it produces a lot of rice, and that is because of green revolution. So one of the solutions that we are advocating for is that Punjab should diversify away from rice, so that, like, it's basic logic that if farmers produce less rice, then less stubble will be generated, and hence less stubble burning will take place. And this is a solution which has been advocated by experts. Like, this is a long term solution that even we are planning to implement. We are, like, advocating for this. But the thing, and even, apart from the stubble burning, the rice cultivation is very water intensive. So there has been news coming up that there is depletion of groundwater levels and deterioration of soil quality. But so one of our members actually said that, if we tell them not to grow rice, then, I mean, the demand for rice would remain the same, right? We need to produce rice. We rely on Punjab for rice. But to counter that point, so there is a report by the government itself, by a government body, which is called the Agricultural Policy for Punjab. And it says that Punjab should shift at least 1.2 million hectares from rice cultivation in order to stop groundwater depletion. So that is for a separate reason, but it will also support the prevention of stubble burning. So that is the long term solution, and that is like one ideal solution that can drastically reduce the number of stubble burning cases, the crop diversification solution.
And adding to this point, like he said, they produce rice, and Haryana and Punjab were the first states that actually, like, we had green revolution introduced too. So that is why from the start we have seen that they have been, like, when we think about farming cities or something, the first thing that comes to our mind is Punjab or Haryana. And adding to the point, for rice cultivation, they have to shift, but they are not able to do so because we have a MSP, which is like they have a high MSP for rice. So why would they want to shift if they're getting a lot of money by harvesting rice?
Exactly. I totally agree with what Shagan says, because the only reason why farmers are producing rice is because they are provided with a very high MSP, which makes it very profitable, which makes rice cultivation very profitable in relation to other crops. However, the same report that I was talking about said that the demand for other crops such as fruits and vegetables is expected to rise, and therefore if the government increases the MSP of fruits, vegetables, maize, cotton, then they can actually grow a crop that gives them more money, because at the end of the day farmers would grow which gives them the most profit. They want to feed their family, they want to sustain their livelihoods. So the long term solution is that the Punjab should diversify away from rice, and that can be done by raising the MSP of other crops. So yeah.
Okay. So basically, we are an organization. We are a group of NGOs. So we have tied up with a lot of different NGOs who are working in different fields. So what is there that we can help you, or we can help your organization spread this awareness? How can we help?
Okay, so I think I'll answer the
Just
question
a
in short
second.
run. Yeah.
Can you just repeat the question once?
I'm just asking, how can we as a group of NGOs help your organization spread this awareness about stubble burning?
Okay, so in I'll tell you about what is happening in the short run, and then we can talk about some long-term partnership or help that we can take from your group of organizations. So in the short term, we are actually organizing a panel discussion, which as Shagun said, we need to spread the knowledge and burst the myths of people who have like myths about stubble burning. And in addition to that, we are making this panel discussion paid and donating this money to Pehel NGO, which is basically an NGO that is based in Punjab and based in Jalandhar, Punjab, and they're working very closely with farmers. So if you could help us like promote this and help us in getting a lot of people attend this, so that that Pahel uses this money to conduct more awareness sessions to help farmers not to burn stubble, to provide them financial help. If that can be done, then even though we live in Delhi, we are helping farmers in Punjab. So that is one, objective of holding a panel discussion too in the shorter run. So if you can help with that,
Yes.
then we'll be
And we
happy.
also have a petition.
Yeah.
So till now we have reached about 3,500 signatures, and that petition has been directed to MOFIC. So they will help out. Like we are basically directing it to the government. So if we get a lot of signatures and signatories for that, so that would be a great help.
First of all, 3,500 signatures is commendable.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there any other factor that is promoting stubble burning amongst the farmers that we need to take down? Like,
I think so. Apart from the financial challenge in using happy seeders, there is also a behavioral challenge which is often neglected. For example, if I am a farmer and in my district there are a lot of farmers who are burning stubble, then would I purchase a happy seeder? No, right? Because my peers, every other farmer in the village is burning stubble, then I'll also be likely to burn stubble. And that
oh,
is why we proposed the solution in our petition, which was that the government should basically promote peer-to-peer learning. For example, if you are a farmer who uses Happy Seeder and I'm not, because I feel the Happy Seeder is not a good machine, which it is. It has some technical errors, technical like challenges associated with it, but overall, experts have said that it is a machine that can help reduce stubble burning. So if you tell me to use the Happy Seeder and teach me how to use one, will it be more effective? It would be more effective than a government official telling me that, right? Because I know you, I can trust you. So that is one behavioral challenge, that farmers are socially influenced to burn stubble. So if there can be a system of naming and shaming of farmers who burn stubble, and they are socially compelled to not burn stubble, then that could really make a difference. And this is an intangible thing that we promote, not a tangible one, like except the financial challenge.
So this whole concept that Raghav talked about is basically the herd behavior. So if one person does it, the rest would also want to do it. So like they're using it for like a negative thing, like the burning stubble, because one person burns stubble, the whole community will burn stubble. But we can use it to our positive side, that if one person has the machine and is using the happy seeder to avoid burning stubble, the other farmers can also follow in the same direction. So we have to change this mentality and this and like turn herd behavior into our favor.
Yeah, just to summarize that point, so to be very specific, we said that there should be farmer representatives in each village. So you could be a farmer. So if you place yourself in the shoes of a farmer and you use Happy Seeder, so you could be a farmer representative who goes to farms and teach people on how to use a Happy Seeder and what are the various alternatives of stubble burning, because they won't listen to urban people, and like they won't be convinced by that, as opposed to the people who live there, who are their friends, who know them for so long. So yeah.
okay. So we're also researching about how to get the happy seeder, or make a similar alternative to the happy seeder, and make it a little bit um, economic, as in,
Bible.
I'm just,
Feasible.
yeah, no. Okay, so we're just trying to get all the farmers to um, not invest that much in the happy seeder, and invest something that we are trying to create, which which is pretty similar to the happy seed I just previously said. So we'll get back to you about that. Okay. So is there any other question you have?
No, we don't have any other question. We're just thankful for YouTube for giving us this opportunity and spread awareness amongst all of those who are watching this on YouTube. So
Yes.
thank you for that.
We thank you. We
It,
thank you for joining us about this discussion. It was
yeah.
really needed, and especially this time. It's almost September, and we really need to spread this awareness a bit faster now. And I really appreciate your effort about the petitions, and I hope that this discussion reaches to a lot of people. We are already being viewed by a number of people on YouTube, and I hope that it reaches more people so that we can um, grow.
Right.
Yes, and get more people to actually talk about it
Yeah,
because it affects people, especially a lot of people in Delhi with respiratory diseases and a lot of other things that are there. So it is like the need of the hour that is there, and we have to like spread awareness and make people aware about it.
of course, of course. And as of yet, about 50% of the Indian population doesn't even know what stubble burning is. So
Right. And in
that,
order to bring some change, we need to spark a conversation.
of course,
People should talk about it, and only then they'll be able to advocate for a change. If they don't know about the issue, then it's not possible to do that. So we aim to just spread
one
awareness
step
to
at a
as
time,
many people as we reach. Yeah.
of course. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us, Raghav and Shagun. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope to
Thank
make
you,
this
Shikhar.
a regular affair, this discussion,
Thank you for
and
having us.
more people. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.